President Biden says the U.S. is on track to complete its withdrawal from Afghanistan by August 31st. Evacuations are ongoing. More than 21,000 people have been flown out of Afghanistan since Monday. Refugees arriving in the U.S. are being temporarily housed in 4 military bases. For more, I want to bring in Gina Kraus-Filmar. She is the president and CEO of Upwardly Global, a nonprofit that helps immigrants and refugees find careers in the U.S. Gina, welcome. Thank you very much for being with us. As we know, the Biden administration is sticking with its August 31st deadline to leave Afghanistan, which is 1 week from now. Do you know about how many Afghans who've assisted the U.S. are still in the country, and what are your concerns if they are not evacuated in time?
We know that there are 71,000 Afghan allies and their family members who are eligible and who have applied to come to the United States as Afghan refugees. We also know that 1,200 have arrived in the United States. So we expect that there's a large number of Afghan allies that are still in Afghanistan. We are getting desperate calls from individuals and correspondence from folks that have their refugee visa in their passport but don't have flights until September 1st or September 3rd. And they don't know what to do, so they are camping out at the airport with their family members and their children. So I think we're deeply concerned about how to ensure that these folks also get out.
Yeah, I mean, can you tell us a bit more about that and the nature of the threat? Why do you think it's so critical? Also, that not only are these Afghans evacuated, but that groups like yours help provide guidance to them once they're actually here in the United States.
Yeah, so I mean, Afghan allies, these are brave men and women who have worked alongside our U.S. military and U.S. government, and because of that service are at risk and threat by the Taliban. We know that many of them have received death threats and are on what they call collaborator lists, and are deeply concerned about what will happen to them. It's very critical for organizations like us on the receiving side to be prepared as people are coming in. We have 1,200 here already. We are expecting more to come in, especially as evacuation accelerates, reaching the August 31st deadline. And it's critical for organizations like us because we know that once people arrive, they're really looking to rebuild their careers. I was just talking to a Afghan refugee. She's a woman. She's a mother of 4. She was a journalist with the U.S. government. And she said, and she's here now, and she said, I'm really looking to become an active member of society. I really want to contribute and get back into my professional career. And so I think for organizations like us, we want to ensure that we're also setting these people up for success once they arrive.
And, I think a lot of people may not know about this process, but what happens, Gina, to Afghan refugees when they enter the United States?
So when Afghan refugees enter the United States, they are resettled into a resettlement city. These cities are determined by the size of other Afghan communities that are already there to facilitate integration, as well as being from states which are welcoming refugees. And I will say one thing we've seen across the board is Republican and Democratic governors standing up and saying they want to accept more Afghan refugees, which is incredible. Once they arrive, then they get up to 3 to 6 months of support. So that's not a lot of time for them to be getting support on housing, basic needs, getting their kids registered in schools, getting their Social Security cards. And so for us, one of the things that we're deeply focused on is how we're also helping these people and individuals access jobs.
And can you help us understand, it's a myriad of organizations and agencies, but can you talk about how does your organization differ from the United States Refugee Resettlement Program? It's not the same thing. People may be conflating, these kinds of groups with the actual resettlement program.
So I think there's 2 important distinctions. The first is Refugee Resettlement Agencies or Refugee Resettlement Program is largely a humanitarian effort to help set people up in the initial months so that they can effectively integrate into their communities. Upwardly Global, we are a nonprofit organization. We focus on workforce. We work with immigrant and refugee professionals. They were professionals in their home countries, and we help integrate them back into their careers here. The reason why this is important is because we've worked with 2,000 Afghan refugees over the past 10 years. So these are Afghan allies. And we know that 54% of them have college degrees. They are skilled technicians, and 82% are English language proficient. So this is a population that is really looking to get back into professional careers, and not only sort of that immediate initial job to help put food on the table. So that's the work that we've been doing. And I would say the reason why this is such a huge success is because, when we help place 1,000 people a year, they're pumping $50 million back into the economy and paying for government and state taxes. And they're contributing incredibly to our communities and our society and our workforce in the process.
Yeah, I wonder if you can talk about that a bit more, Gina, because, there is opposition, frankly, to the idea in some quarters of people coming into the United States and people looking for labor opportunities in the United States. But can you talk a bit more about that? Why is labor integration so significant? When you talk about this population, you outline that, this is a highly educated group, the majority of these folks resettling in the United States. But there's also, on the demand side, we've been hearing stories across many sectors of employers unable to find the workers they need for their businesses.
Yes, we are in a tight labor market. We have 2.4 million job openings across the country in mid-skill roles in engineering, technology, healthcare, business logistics, and administration. And these are largely the kinds of roles that we help place Afghan allies into. They come to us. Oftentimes people think of them as interpreters and translators, but they're also civil engineers. They're also business logisticians who helped the operations in U.S. military bases run in Afghanistan. And now they're here. So there is a labor market need. This is a population that can help serve that need. They are absolutely here for humanitarian reasons, because it's our humanitarian obligation to allow them safety, because they were at risk and put themselves and their families at risk on the behalf of the U.S. government. But at the same time, it is an absolute win for us in terms of helping meet some of our labor market needs, and a population that is eager and wanting to work hard in order to get back and rebuild their careers and their lives.
All right. Well, certainly we're going to be hearing a lot more about this population here as this evacuation effort continues, and in the months ahead, no doubt. Gina Kraus-Filmar. Gina, thanks very much for sharing your perspective with us.
Thank you for having me.